I'm going to the hard part of the movie.
Yes.
We're going to talk a little bit about. I would say a large percentage of the story takes place in the dungeon, and what takes place in the dungeon is you being tortured.
Yeah, I'm tortured a bit more than Francisca because there's a point in the story where the Inquisitor, Francisco Verdugo, realizes that in order to get what he wants from Francisca, her lands and money and everything else, it will most likely be more effective to torture me, whom she loves, in front of her. So I end up being tortured a lot more.
How hard or how easy was to go through the torture?
It's never easy. But I'm someone who's in pretty good shape, and I work out and stuff. So, but I mean, it's pretty awful, especially the Spanish horse. The wooden horse. That was not pretty. There was one day that after shooting that I felt pretty awful. It took several days to shoot each of the torture scenes, because a lot of the time we would set up all of the lights. There were a lot of things, like how long does it take to set up the lights and all of this stuff and the camera and the, everything else, and arm the set and then shoot that angle. And then there's the additional factor of how much can I actually take in one day. And so we had to calculate everything based on that, and more or less feeling that out, we would just kind of do one angle every day. And so if you count up all the angles in the movie, that's a lot of days that we spent shooting each scene. And there were some days where I felt absolutely awful after shooting that, because how do you really, in a lot of movies, people will just fake something, and then, so you see certain things, and maybe they dramatize it a little bit more, but we really wanted something that looked realistic and brutal. Very much like how the Inquisition actually was.
So would you say that it was almost real, not just realistic?
I would say that at many, many times, it was real. Or bordering on real, because I'm pretty sure that somebody would have died from that kind of torture, and I didn't die, obviously, but it was unpleasant. Mentally, it's a challenge. It's kind of like when you're doing a nude scene or something, and how is it that you take off your clothes in front of like a room full of people, and I don't know, you basically just get into the scene. You remove yourself from that and you are in the scene. So, gosh, I don't know how I can answer this question. Preparing yourself physically is pretty much impossible. You kind of figure out how you can do it without hurting yourself, and you basically figure you have to kind of like program yourself, okay, like I'm actually going to say something if this hurts too much. I'm going to say like cut, or whatever, just stop shooting, I can't take anymore. And I don't like to do that so often because I'm also a producer, and so I'm like thinking about how many hours we have left in the day and things like that, but I'm not going to put myself through something awful. I'm not going to like actually hurt myself for real. So that's physically and mentally, I guess that's about what you can do.
Yeah.